was in Pittsburgh yesterday or this weekend, so I forgot my stick there. Hey, now we're on the next chapter, which is muscle. So we are going to have 2 more chapters before you have the next exam, right? Which is exam number 4. And don't forget to print out the assignment. Right? The assignment, I believe, is due, if not this Thursday, will be next Tuesday. So check your schedule, okay? When is the assignment for due? Okay, so today, we just finished with bone, and then bone to bone connection is called joint. No, I mean the connection is called joint, right? The connection is called joint, and we have learned several types of joint, and also we have learned the movement in the joint. And then in order to move, this joint require the contraction of muscle. Therefore, we're gonna learn the muscle today. Today, we just learned the muscle tissue, how is actually muscle contracted. And then next time, after this, chapter 11, we're gonna learn the 700 muscles that we have. Okay. We have how many bones in our body? 206. Muscle is actually more than the bone itself. So 700 muscle. That's chapter 11. But now, we just gonna learn the muscle tissue first, before we go to the muscular system, which is consists of 700 muscle organs. Now, we already learned. Who's this one? Who's this guy? That's the athlete. Okay, that's the athlete. So moving that. Now, we have learned this, right? There are 3 types of muscle tissue. The muscle that attached to the bone is called skeletal muscle. And this is the only muscle that we can order to move. What do you call that type of muscle? Voluntary muscle. See, you already know that, right? You already know that. So the only voluntary muscle is our skeletal muscle. The second type muscle is on our heart, cardiac muscle. It is voluntary or involuntary? Involuntary. You cannot stop your cardiac muscle. It will boom. Okay, contract by itself. The third type is called smooth muscle. Why it is called smooth? No stripes, no striations, no striations. That's smooth muscle. It is voluntary or involuntary? Involuntary. Again, you cannot really control the smooth muscle. It will contract by itself. Okay. Now, if you see under the microscope, it's gonna be look like this. The top one is the skeletal muscle. The skeletal muscle is very long. One muscle, one cell. Okay, one cell is very long. Like for example, this is actually one cell over here. This is another cell. This is another cell. You see that one? Do you see the border between this cell and the next cell? No, it's actually very long. You cannot see the border because it is long. Like for example, our bicep over here, right? That muscle, one muscle is from here to here. One muscle, and there's another muscle. This is like a fibers of muscle together. It's very long. Over here, look at over here, the femur. Right? From here to here, that's how long is the skeletal muscle. Yeah? From the tendon to the other tendon. Because remember, muscle, okay, actually move the joint. Joint is connection of 2 bone, right? So that muscle actually connect that 2 bone together. Therefore, there will be 2 tendons, right? The tendon on the first bone and the tendon on the other bone. You get it? And between that tendon over here, okay, let's say tendon over here, you have this bicep. And that one muscle cell is long like that. It's going to be thousands of muscle cells on that fibers and that organ. This is one organ, right? One organ of muscle. Okay, consists of many muscle cells. And one muscle cell is very, very long. Are you with me? That's skeletal muscle. Because of they are very long, what happened with the nucleus? Multinucleus. It's actually a lot of nucleus in one cell. It's multinucleus. They also have stripe. Get it? Stripe. What is stripe actually? You're gonna see later. Stripe is actually organization of units of muscle. It's called sarcomeres that make the dark, light, arrangement. Therefore, you see the stripe. Right? Now, look at the second one. What muscle is this actually? This smooth muscle. Okay. So you see one nucleus. This is actually one cell. One nucleus. There is another cell. The border is not really clear, but the cell is actually look like a spindle or spindle. Okay. So that's smooth muscle, this is the shortest type of muscle. The cell is very short. It has one nucleus. No stripe. No stripe. Now look at this one. What muscle is that? Cardiac muscle, which is in our heart wall. This is also short. You can see the border. You can see the border over here. You can see the border with one cell. And each cell only consists of one nucleus. You follow that? They also have stripe. Okay, now look at the nucleus. Where the nucleus of the skeletal muscle located? In the center or in the peripheral? On the side? On the side. The nucleus, you see the dot over here? Is actually on the side, but for this one, the nucleus is located in the center, just like other type of cell. Usually, nucleus in the kind of the center of the cell. But the skeletal muscle, the nuclei are located on the peripheral area, on the side of the cell. Right. So that's if you see that muscle under the microscope. Now, we're gonna talk about skeletal muscle first. We're going to talk about skeletal muscle. Let's say this is coming from your bicep over here. Look at this one. This is the one of the fiber that attached to the bone. What do you call this one then? So what do you call this? Tendon. This is tendon, right? Tendon. Now, if we cut this muscle cross section like this, remember cross plane, cross section. This is the result going to be. This organ, like a bicep over here, is actually consists of many group of muscle. You see this is one muscle cell, one muscle cell, one cell, and we making a group. That group is called the fascicle. So this group is called the fascicle. This itself is called the organ. So muscle organ consists of many fascicles. You get this one? The muscle organ itself is protected by layer is called the epimysium. Okay, epimysium. Okay. Now, this is maybe the terminology that you have to know. Myo means muscle. So every time you say these letters over here, it's going to be related to muscle, right? So like for example, epimysium. What does it mean? This is the layer that protects the whole organ. This is the outside of one organ of muscle. You get what? In each muscle organ, it has many fascicles. Okay, this is one fascicle, two fascicle, three, and etc. And from one fascicle over here, it is protected by layer is called the perimysium. Right? So the border or the layer that protect the fascicle is called perimysium. You get this one first. Inside the fascicle, then you have the muscle cell. This is one muscle cell, another muscle cell, and muscle cell. So muscle cell itself is called myocyte. Myocyte, good job. Because cyte means cell, right? Myocyte. Or sometimes it's also known as a myofascicle. fibers because it looks like a fibers. Are you with me? The myocyte, myofiber is the same, which is an individual of muscle. Okay? So this one individual of muscle over here. Okay? When you take that individual of muscle, it's going to be look like this, which is long. Right? In the case of skeletal muscle, it's very long individual muscle. What? The layer that protect individual muscle is called the endomysium. You get this one? What is epi mean? Epi mean outside, right? What is endo mean? Inside, which is the layer that protect individual muscle. The one that protect the fascicle is gonna be peri, like a between, perimysium. You follow this? Now, look at the individual muscle over here. This is individual muscle. It's gonna be consists of many fibril. It's called the myofibril. Myofibril. No, I'm gonna put, because it's not. That one is actually not finished yet. If this is, if this is individual muscle, which is myocyte, like this, right? And you have myofibril, right? We're gonna take one of myofibril over here. So this is myofibril, right? Myofibril. You with me? And that myofibril, it has fibers in it, right? Which is really small fiber. We can take one of this. It's gonna be like this. Are you with me? Right? So inside the myofibril still have very small fiber, and this one is called the myofilaments. Can you follow that? So this picture is actually not finished yet. So myofibril, you see the dot over here? That's actually just like a cable. That dot is a long actually, because it is just cut from over here. It's actually long, just like this long. That long fiber is called the myo what?
Fibro.
No, myofibril is one here. Over here there is another cable.
Myofilament.
Myofilament. Are you okay? That's the smallest bit. That's the smallest filament, which is inside the myofibril. And myofibril is inside the myocyte. Get it? Myocyte is inside the the fascicle. You with it? The fascicle is inside the muscle organ. Can you follow this? So muscle is actually consists of many fibers, from the biggest fibers to the smallest fiber, the myofilament. Okay, when you eat, like for example, chicken meat, you actually can shred it, right? Shred it into many fibers, because what? They basically consist of these fiber, right? Bigger fiber is a muscle, smaller fiber, fascicle. Inside the fascicle you have myocyte or myofiber, and inside the myofiber you have myofibril, right? And inside the myofibril you still have another filament. It's called the myofilament. Can you follow this? That's how the structure of muscle. Okay. Okay. Now. Okay. So myofibril, you see that one? So you see this now, you have the filament, which is inside the myofibril. So myocyte consists of myofibril, and myofibril consists of many filaments. There are two important filaments that you should know for this muscle contraction. If you see this one, you have the thick filament, right? You have thick filament over here, which is thicker. That thick filament is called the myosin. So this myofilament consists of myosin, which is thick filament. You with me? And then look at the other one. This one over here. The filament is thinner. That thinner filament is called the actin. Okay, actin. So actin is the thin filament of the myofibers. How you don't confuse. So muscle, myofascicle, myofibril, myofiber, and then myofilament. That consists of myosin and actin. These are the two filaments that right now you should know in order to understand the muscle contraction. Okay, you get a first. Now look at, this is one cell over here. This is one cell, and because it's very long, long muscle cell. Remember, this is skeletal muscle. When you cut it in the cross section, you might see a lot of myofibrils with myofilaments in it. Right? Of course, cell it has what? Mitochondria. Cell consists of mitochondria. They also have endoplasmic reticulum, so which is the organelle. Of course, they also have nucleus. Where's the nucleus located? It's actually on the side over here. It's not in the middle of the cell, but it's on the peripheral area. You get this one first? Okay. And then inside this, again, there is inside the myofibril, you have myofilament. And these myofilaments make arrangement, consists of the thick filament and thin filament. Thick filament, thin filament, thick filament, thin filament. If you see this one over here, okay, it's gonna give you the dark kind of stripe. And then you're gonna see the light, and then dark, light, dark, and etc. Therefore, under the microscope, you're gonna see what? Stripes, the striation, because of the arrangement of the thick and thin filament. You follow this one? Thick and thin filament arranged together, and it create the striation, the stripes on this muscle cell. Are you with me first? Now, the unit, when your muscle contract, the one that contract is actually this one over here. This is a unit over here. Between Z, there is another Z. This is border, what? So from Z this to another Z this, it has one unit of contraction. That unit of contraction is called a sarcomere. You get this one? So sarcomere is the unit of contraction of muscle. We have thousands or millions of sarcomere in one cell, in one muscle cell. So each sarcomere, when it is contract, what happens with the muscle? When it is contract, it actually becomes shorter. Boom. Okay? The Z to the Z is become shorter. Z to the Z becomes shorter. And when all the sarcomere contract together, become shorter together, what happens with your muscle? Become shorter or longer? Shorter. So contraction actually means the muscle become shorter. You get this one? So when your muscle contract, it's bulging. What? Bulging is actually your muscle shorter, and it generates the power to move the bone. You follow this? So which one that actually shorter in your cell is a unit called a sarcomere. You get this one first? We're gonna learn how the sarcomere move later. Okay, what kind of clue or order that coming from your brain that make the sarcomere become shorter, and it's actually will make your muscle to contract. Get it? Okay. Again, very important. What do we call the unit of contraction of muscle cell? Sarcomere. That's it. So sarcomere is the unit of muscle contraction. Are you with me? We're gonna learn how that sarcomere contract or become shorter. Okay, now, remember this is Z, this is Z, so this is one sarcomere. Again, in the sarcomere, you have two type of filament. the thick filament. What do you call the thick filament? What do you call the thick filament? Myosin. And there is a thin filament, it's called actin. You guys one first. So there is a thick filament, myosin, and thin filament. You guys one. Now, in the thick filament, it has head. Okay, it's kind of head. Just like, let's say my thick filament, there is a head over here. Right? So this one is called the head of myosin. You follow this? So it has head. The head of myosin. That's on the myosin, okay? In the thick filament. Now, in the thin filament, it's called actin. There are two other proteins that actually cover the actin. If you see this one, look at this one, long protein. That long protein is called the tropomyosin. Tropomyosin. And then there is another protein over here, like a dot over here, smaller, like a what you call the marble. It's marble protein. One over here, another one over here, another one over here. That protein is called the troponin. So these three proteins really important later when we talk about muscle contraction. Again, in this actin complex, you have actin, which is like a marble that connect together, just like if you have a necklace made of, what you call the necklace that made of a lot of marble joined together? Pearls, something like that. So that's the actin, long, but it consists of like a marble. You see that one? Another one, it has long, but it's just like a long stripe. That one is called the tropomyosin. Are you with me? And there's another one that looks like a marble, but by itself, 1, 2, 3, located in specific area. And that one is called what? Troponin. You got this one first. What do you call the thick filament?
The head of
Myosin.
What do you call the thick filament?
Myosin.
Myosin. And myosin the head is called the head of myosin. Get it? Now the thin filament is consists of actin. There's two more proteins that make a complex of this thin filament, tropomyosin and troponin. Are you with me first? Now look at the actin. You see this, the actin, right? Look like a marble, long. In that side, you see the dot over here, black dot. Are you with me? That's actually called the binding site for myosin. Are you with me? So the myosin head actually will bind to this, the black dot over here. Are you with me? Okay, just like, let's say I myself is a myosin. I have myosin head, and it is actin, and actin has a binding site. It's called the myosin binding site, and then the head will bind to that binding site in one side over here. You see that? One side, and another side is over here. It's bind like this. Okay? So this myosin head will bind to myosin binding site on the actin. Boom. When the muscle contract, what happens? This myosin actually will pull the actin together to the middle, like that. Are you with me? So take this one to the middle, and what happened? This Z line or the Z disc will be closer. It will make that sarcomere shorter, and it will make eventually all the muscle become shorter. This is what we call the contraction. Are you with me first? So how the muscle contractions do? The myosin head will bind to the myosin binding site on the actin and will pull the actin into the middle. Are you with me first? Now, during relaxation, when our muscle do not contract, this is the clue. During relaxation, this, what do you call this long protein?
Tropomyosin.
Tropomyosin. You have to remember this for your exam. What do you call this long protein? Tropomyosin. During relaxation, this tropomyosin actually cover, like block. See that? Block the binding site. When the binding site is blocked, can the head of myosin bind to it? No. Therefore, it will not contract. Are you with me? So during relaxation, this tropomyosin will block the binding site. The head will not be able to bind to the binding site. There will be no contraction. Are you with me? Now, when it start contraction, what happened? Remember the minerals that is stored in the bone. What do you call the mineral stored in the bone? Calcium. Calcium is really important for this contraction. Look at this. What do you call this? The single marble protein? Troponin. Troponin. Are you with me? Troponin also have dot. You see the dot over here? Can you see that? That dot is called the calcium binding site. Can you follow this? Calcium binding site. What it is for? For calcium to bind it. So when the calcium enter into your muscle, then it bind to the troponin. You get this one? It's bind to troponin. When it is bind to troponin, you see that one? This troponin is actually also attached to the tropomyosin. When calcium attached to the troponin, it will twist. Boom. Twist the what? Twist the tropomyosin. When it is twist the tropomyosin, it will open the binding site for the head. And what happened? The head will bind, and if we have the ATP, the energy, we will contract. The myosin will pull the actin to the middle, and we have the contraction. You follow this? Right? So with what type of substance needed for contraction?
Calcium.
Calcium. So calcium is really important. Calcium is important for muscle contraction. Without calcium, you will not be able to contract your muscle. Because what? Calcium is needed to bind to the troponin in order to move the tropomyosin away from the binding site. Okay, and then the myosin head will be able to bind to the myosin binding site on the actin. And if we have the energy, if we have the ATP, we will be able to move that actin. Therefore, on the previous screen, you see in the muscle we also have a lot of mitochondria. What's the function of mitochondria?
ATP.
Creating ATP. And ATP is needed later to make sure the head over here pull the actin. Are you with me? Now my question is, which one do you think will have more mitochondria? Your muscle cell or your cardiac muscle cell? Your skeletal muscle or your cardiac muscle?
Cardiac.
Why?
Because it's involuntary. It's constantly.
It's continuously contracted, right? So cardiac muscle is actually a type of muscle that have a lot of mitochondria. Because what? Because we keep contracting the cardiac muscle. Okay? So they have more mitochondria in order to create the ATP, continuously contraction. Now, based on that question, which muscle will need more oxygen?
Cardiac.
Cardiac muscle or skeletal muscle?
Cardiac.
Cardiac muscle. If your cardiac muscle do not get enough oxygen, basically you die. You have stroke. Oh, you know this stroke. Stroke is on the head. What you call it?
Heart attack.
Heart
Cardiac
attack.
arrest.
You start with the angina pectoralis, chest pain. What? Chest pain, and then finally heart attack. That's usually because of less oxygen into our heart muscle. Okay? So our heart muscle has more mitochondria, therefore it need more oxygen. Because in order to make ATP, you need what? You need oxygen. Remember that, what? So that's the cellular respiration. Do you have questions so far for this one? This is the basic for what I'm gonna explain on the whiteboard over there, on the board. If you do understand this, it's gonna be easy to follow my explanation on the board. I'm gonna explain how this actually works. You get this one? Okay. How many types of filaments in the myofibril? So myofibril mostly consists of myofilaments, right? Mostly myosin and actin. Actin will be also accompanied by the tropomyosin and troponin. And then you know that location over there. You get this one? Now, okay. Okay, so remember, when we talk about the homeostasis, the negative feedback system or positive feedback system, its system is consists of how many elements? 3, right? The first one is the one that send is called receptor, and then the one that process is called control center, and the one that perform the action is called effector, right? Effector. And muscle is one of effector, right? Muscle is one effector. It is contract, it perform the action because of the order from the control center. In this case is the brain. You follow this one first. Right? Now, in the brain, let's say this is the brain. I hope it looks like a brain. So it's gonna be neuron, right? And then there is another neuron over here, right? The neuron that go to the effector, let's say this is effector over here, right? It's called motor neuron. Motor neuron. You with me? What? So the neuron that go to the effector from the brain, so it's gonna be one way, only one way like that, right? From the brain, from your control center into the effector, right? And then the neuron that carry that order to the effector is called motor neuron. Are you with me first? Okay? Now, when it is going to the, I'm gonna erase this one first. I'm gonna explain about the muscle cell. Let's say we have regular cell. Regular cell, we already know the part, right? Let's say this is regular cell like this, and this is muscle cell, right? What do you call the muscle cell? Myocyte, right? Or myofiber. Got it? This is just regular cell. Now, what do you call the boundary of the cell over here?
Membrane.
Cell membrane or plasma membrane, okay? Plasma membrane. Are you with me? Right. Now, for the muscle cell, right, we also have the plasma membrane, but the name is not cell membrane. The name is called sarcolemma. Okay, I'm gonna make comparison first, so you do understand. It is still a cell, but because it's special cell, they just try to make you confused by giving different name for the part. And this is the name that you have to know, especially if you go into the medical school or to nursing, you have to know. The cell membrane of the myocyte, it is not plasma membrane, but it is sarcolemma. Are you with me? Now, how about what do you call the inside part of the cell in general? Anybody still? What do you call the content of the cell? Cytoplasm. It consists of cytosol and what is the other one? Organelles. Organelles, right? Cytoplasm. Are you with me? Okay. Now, for the muscle cell, It is not cytoplasm, but it is called sarcoplasm. Still close. Plasm too, but start with sarco. Okay? Sarco. Sarco actually means like a bucket. Right? So the muscle cell is actually cylindrical muscle. It looks like a long bucket. Right? That's why it's called sarco. You get it? Right? So sarcolemma, sarcoplasm. Are you with me? Now, it has, of course, over here, it has nucleus, right? And then what do you call this? The smallest organelle that make protein. Ribosome. And then you have the organelle that store the protein. Radial, so ER, right? Endoplasmic reticulum. RER, right? You have another ER that is not rough, smooth ER. It has Golgi, right? And then it has many other organelles smaller than that. Of course, it has the organelle that making energy, mitochondria. You follow this one, right? Now, in this sarcolemma, sarcoplasma in the myocyte, okay, the nucleus is in here, in the peripheral. You with me? And the sarcolemma over here, they creating, it's not border, but it's creating like a line or channel that is going inside into the sarcoplasm. Okay, so the sarcolemma, this one is just like this, right? But this one is going down to create a channel to go inside the sarcoplasm. This channel over here, making channel, is called the T tubule. Are you with me? So making a tubule or tube that look like a T going down. It's a tube from sarcolemma. Okay, you follow this one first. Now, remember in the cell membrane, there are some proteins that have different functions. Are you with me? Some of them has a function to let the ions enter or exit the cell. What do you call them? Ion channel, right? Let's say we have ion channel. Right? If it is channel used by the calcium, the channel is called calcium channel. If it is used by the sodium, it's called sodium channel. Are you with me? Right? The same thing over here. It also have channel. Channel. And for this, related to the contraction, the only channel that you have to know is sodium channel on the sarcolemma. Are you with me? It's called the sodium channel. What is used for? For sodium, right? To enter the cell, because there are a lot of sodium outside over here. A lot of sodium outside the cell, so it has sodium channel. However, this sodium channel over here on the sarcolemma, it has gate. So this is gated. Are you with me? Gated sodium channel. Okay? What does gated mean? It can be closed or open based on order. Are you with me? Based on order. Okay, you get it on first. Now, over here, of course, we have the sarcomere. Are you get it? So a lot of sarcomere. Let's say this is one Z line, this is another Z line over here. Then you have one sarcomere, you have M line, right? And then you have the thick filament. What do you call the thick filament? Myosin with the head. With the head. Are you with me? And then the thick filament and the thin filament. I'm gonna use different colors. Let's say blue color for the thin filament. The thin filament is actually coming from the Z line, like that. Okay, what you call that filament, the thin filament? Actin, right? It's gonna be like a marble, like that, actin. Right? On the actin, there is also what? Tropomyosin and troponin. Are you with me? Right? So tropomyosin, let's say gonna use the red, there's a tropomyosin covering the binding site. Right? And also there is a troponin, right? That we'll use for, let's say troponin, let's say make it bigger over here. That's used for calcium to bind. Are you with me first? Okay, now, of course over here, we also, the myocyte also have reticulum, endoplasmic reticulum. However, they don't really have this RER, SER. Their reticulum is very special, right? They have a special reticulum that's used for the storage of calcium, right? So a lot of calcium will be here, will be stored in this reticulum. This reticulum is called a sarcoplasmic reticulum, right? Because it's located in the sarcoplasm, right? So what is the name of the reticulum? Sarcoplasmic reticulum. And the easy way to remember, I'm gonna just use the abbreviation, which is SR. Remember, you have this one, RER what? You have SER over here, okay? Over there, we have what? SR. What is SR? Sarcoplasmic reticulum. What is the function? Calcium storage. Okay. On that SR, it has channel. It's a membrane, right? It has channel. What do you think the channel is gonna be? Calcium channel. It has calcium channel. So it has calcium channel, which is gated. It is gated, right? So this is what? Gated calcium channel. Okay. Okay. So make sure you follow this because it's important how it's actually our brain control the contraction. So you know this one. Of course, we have a lot of mitochondria and mitochondria producing ATP. We're gonna learn how the ATP used later. Right now, just do it. There is another one also. Organelle is called the myoglobin. Myoglobin. You know hemoglobin? What's hemoglobin mean?
Blood.
Blood globin. Hemo mean blood. Globin protein. Globin is actually protein that carry oxygen. It is hemoglobin. It means that globin is located in the blood, carry oxygen. You with me? This is myoglobin. It is muscle protein that carry what?
Blood.
Not blood.
Okay.
No, globin what is carry? Oxygen. Oxygen. So carry a lot of oxygen. What is oxygen used for? Here, later. Making ATP. So you have a lot of storage of oxygen actually in myoglobin. Therefore, you can actually continuous, contraction. Okay. So it says myoglobin, right? And then based on the myoglobin, then later you're gonna have diffusion of red muscle, white muscle, or called the red meat or white meat. Have you ever heard that one? White meat, red meat. Which one is red meat? Beef or chicken?
Beef.
White meat is
Chicken.
white. Here, the difference in the myoglobin that they carry. Now go back to this structure. Can you follow this? Again, there will be more long sarcomere over here. Okay, I just put one over here. Just one sarcomere. You follow this? So it's very similar with this, but with different properties. Why? Remember, structure, fit, function. The muscle cell is not like regular cell. It has function, which is for contraction. Therefore, the structure will be like that. Now, I'm gonna erase this because you already understand that comparison. Now we're gonna go back to the brain. Brain. Let's say this is the motor neuron. Okay. Remember, neuron consists of 3 parts. You still remember 3 parts of neuron?
Axon, dendrite, and so.
Okay. We start with the first one, dendrite, right?
Yeah.
Dendrite, and then this one,
Axon.
axon, and this one,
I'll shoot. Oh,
body, cell body, right?
Yeah.
Cell body or soma.
yeah. That's the word I was looking for.
Okay, are you with me? Now I will not talk how they carry the impulse over here because we're gonna have a different chapter for this one. But anyway, the impulse will be coming from the brain. This order, boom, 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 going here. Are you with me? There will be action potential that going from the cell body to the axon, carried along the axon, and go to the end of the axon. This is what we call the axon bulb or end of axon. Are you with me first? Okay, now in this axon bulb, it has a lot of vesicle that carry neurotransmitter. So the dot over here is a neurotransmitter. Neurotransmitter is chemical that will order this letter. So neurotransmitter. There are 100 type of neurotransmitter. Maybe you have heard about dopamine, serotonin. That's the name of neurotransmitter. The one that go to the muscle cell, the one that carried by the motor neuron that go to the muscle cell is called the ACH, acetylcholine. That's the name of the neurotransmitter here, in the motor neurons that going to the muscle cell. You follow this one first, right? So this motor neuron carry different neurotransmitter. That the one that go to the muscle cell is carry special one is called the acetylcholine. Are you with me? Okay, now acetylcholine over here, again with this action over here, right? We're gonna talk about this action later in chapter when we talk about brain, the next chapter, right? After the muscular system. We're gonna learn how the neurons work. But right now there is some action over here that causing the acetylcholine to be released in the place between this axon bulb and the muscle cell. And this area over here, the location between the end of muscle, the end of neuron and the muscle is called the synapse. Synapse. Synapse is a short space between neuron and the next cell. In this case, muscle cell. Are you with me? So this neurotransmitter, what is the name of the neurotransmitter again that is released to the muscle cell?
ACH.
ACH. We just use this. So ACH will be released over here. Are you with me? The ACH then will attach to the receptor. The receptor is actually located in the ion channel. And this ion channel, I mentioned to you, what is the ion channel name? Sodium channel. Get it channel. Sodium get it channel. Are you with me? So whenever this acetylcholine bind to the sodium get it channel, it will open the gate. The gate is open. Are you with me? What happened with the sodium when the gate is open?
Because you
Enter into the muscle cell. It's enter here, but it's not continuously enter into the sarcoplasm. It's gonna use the sarcolemma here and then using the T tubule here, and then finally release here. You follow this. What is this? What is dot over here?
So,
That?
so,
Sodium, good job. Sodium. Remember acetylcholine is only outside. They bind. Make the channel open. And then the one that enter into the cell is what? Sodium. So sodium is also needed for muscle contraction. Right?
ACH enters sodium.
Yeah, sodium enter using the T tubule and release into the sarcoplasm, and it will attach to the gated channel over here, which is sodium gated channel. Are you with me? And when it is sodium attached to this channel, it will open the gate. Are you with me? And remember, this is storage for calcium. What does that mean? The calcium will out from the SR. So calcium will be out from the SR, calcium. Where do you think it will go? No, we're not talking about bone over here.
Into the troponin.
Yes, wonderful. Remember, which of these protein over here that have calcium binding site? Troponin, right?
Oh, dude, I got that.
Yeah, right? So the calcium will bind to the troponin. And remember, when the calcium bind to the troponin, it will open the red one over here. The red one will be twisted. Open the binding site for the head. What do you call the red long protein over here that will be twisted because of calcium binding to the troponin? It's called the tropomyosin. Are you with me? And then when the tropomyosin twisted out, this head will bind to the binding site on the actin. And again, if we have the ATP field, the ATP will go here to attach to the head over here, and then created that movement. The myosin will pull the actin into the middle side. And what happens if they pull to the middle side? The sarcomere becomes shorter, the whole muscle becomes shorter. That's what we call the contraction. And this theory is called the sliding theory. This is the theory of muscle contraction. Which one is slide? The actin slide into the middle because of myosin pull them. It's sliding. It's called the sliding movement. Sliding muscle contraction. I'm gonna stop here first. I'm gonna stop here. Again, if you still don't understand, review again the video. So follow that. The name is really important. The action over here is also important. Again, if you get it now, it's gonna be stay in your brain for a long time. Okay?
I just seen the word. I think it's that. For some reason, I'm just saying. I got it.